And welcome back to more Sailor Moon! So last time, we started the final stage. So this time, all that's left are a few more fights and the final boss. So let's see how this goes. I'm a little bit worried about these next few encounters, but this one in particular isn't too bad. So while we make our way through these enemies, I wanted to talk a little bit more about Sailor Moon Eternal, because it's part of the reason why I wanted to play through a Sailor Moon game to begin with. A couple of years ago, I wanted to do a Let's Play of Sailor Moon R for the Super Famicom, but because of how difficult that game is, and how you can only see the first 2 stages if you play on the easiest difficulty, I ended up shelving that project. And after that, I kind of wanted to play a different Sailor Moon game, but there were always different reasons for backing out of each project. Like Sailor Moon Another Story seems like a really cool game, but it's also a 30-hour JRPG and would require a lot of work, as an example. But Sailor Moon Eternal's release around the time of this recording kind of revitalized my interest in trying to play through a Sailor Moon game for my channel. And I decided to play through this game because it's possible for me to actually finish it on the normal difficulty without too much trouble, and also seemed like a pretty interesting game as well. So yeah, overall this playthrough has been a lot of fun, and hasn't gone too poorly in terms of losing too many lives, and continues yet. So let's hope it stays that way. We have 2 more of these really annoying enemies. We might lose a life here, by the way. If we have like 5 or 6 lives for the final boss, that should be more than enough. But yeah, I really want to see Eternal at some point. I also want to watch through Crystal. Also, by the way, as I've been kind of talking about how people don't really like Crystal, I should clarify that that mostly applies to the first season, from what I remember. People actually really like the 3rd season in particular of Crystal. It's just mainly the first season that kind of didn't exactly set out on the right foot, if that makes sense. But yeah, I hope to eventually get through Crystal and the movies. I hope also both Eternal Part 1 and 2 do well enough to warrant adapting the final arc either into an anime series or a movie as well. Like I mentioned before, it's not doing super well financially, but it also released at a really bad time, so hopefully it'll still do well enough to result in more Sailor Moon adaptations afterwards. I am amazed I haven't lost a life yet, and we are almost done with this fight, so that went surprisingly well. Huh? Lord Endymion? What's wrong with you, Mamoru-san? Snap out of it. Alright, so we have a fight with Prince Endymion. For some reason, in this game he's referred to as Lord Endymion, which I'm pretty sure is not correct, because I remember Prince Endymion. Anyway, this is basically a brainwashed tuxedo mask, and is kind of an easy boss fight. He has sword beams and like a stab attack, but beyond that, because the stab attack requires him to be fairly close to you, and the sword beam requires him to be on the same like horizontal plane as you, his attacks are surprisingly easy to deal with. My advice would be to kind of move up and down to keep him from being able to attack, and also stay away as well. But yeah, overall this is a fairly easy fight, which is kind of nice because there is still another fight after this, and on the highest difficulty there would be an additional fight beyond that. So yeah, overall it's kind of nice that this isn't particularly challenging. He mostly has a lot of health, and I also think this fight would be a lot worse, similar to the Zoisite fake Sailor Moon fight. This, I imagine, would also be a lot tougher with any other character, because you'd have to fight at closer range than this. But with Sailor Venus, this really isn't particularly scary. It's the next fight that I am a little bit worried about, and that makes sense because that would be the final boss for this playthrough. But yeah, when you can get into a rhythm with this fight, it's not particularly bad. I say as I immediately lose the rhythm and almost lose a lot of health there. So yeah, that could have gone a lot worse, but definitely could have gone a little bit better as well. Love can only be given, not taken. You can't force someone to love you. Such impudence. A little fool like you knows nothing of love. My advice would be to hold up during the dialogue, so you are moving out of the way of Queen Beryl's attacks. So similar to Lord Endymion, Queen Beryl attacks mostly with projectiles. So like before, my advice would be to kind of move up and down to stay out of her line of sight. She can also summon lightning bolts that are really annoying to deal with, like so. And like I mentioned before, a problem with this game is invincibility frames, and this fight is a great example of how bad this can get. Basically, if you get hit by an attack, it's very easy to get stun-locked by more attacks. So, as odd as this might sound, my best advice would be to just kind of try to keep dodging everything, because once you actually get hit by an attack, that's when things start to get a little bit scarier, I find. In practice runs, I've definitely had fights where I've just lost a lot of health just because I can't even move practically because of the boss's attacks. But beyond that, this really isn't too difficult. So yeah, hopefully we'll be able to get through here with relative ease. We are almost out of health, but we still have a lot of lives to work with, so we should be good to go without needing to use another continue. Overall, I actually used a lot fewer continues than I would have expected, which is kind of cool. Definitely lost quite a few lives though, but yeah, I probably could have made it through the game on normal with the default number of continues in actuality. I just wanted as many as possible just in case. So that's our first life lost to the boss. By the way, sometimes Venus's chain attack hits twice, and I don't know why that is, but it is really good when that happens because you're doing twice as much damage, obviously. So yeah, just continue to dodge the lightning and her attacks and try to deal as much damage as you can when you have an opportunity, and the fight should be pretty manageable. Throws are the best attack because they do a lot of damage, but in this case, just getting close enough to Queen Beryl can be pretty difficult, so I'm not really relying on throws in this case. And she is down to her final health bar. Overall, I ended up doing a lot better than I expected. I thought I'd lose at least a few lives, like maybe 2 or 3 at minimum. But yeah, we made it through relatively unscathed. Mark my words. So long as there is hate within the hearts of humankind, I shall be reborn. Our long and difficult fight is over. Now I can go back to living a normal life. However, nothing will change if I'm hung up on the past. I must move on and search for a new love. And with that, we have reached the end of Sailor Moon for the Sega Mega Drive, minus, again, the hidden hard mode boss fight. Overall, that was fun. It definitely went better than I would have thought, as someone who is really bad at beat-em-ups and has barely played any. I definitely overestimated how many lives I would need, which was really good, that things went so well. Overall, it's a fun game. Again, I can't say it's like a great beat-em-up because I don't have enough experience with the genre to really speak for this game's quality in general, but as a fan of the series, I think this is an enjoyable game. By the way, here are the credits for the fan translation specifically, which is kind of cool. But I don't think we're done quite yet, because there are a couple more things I wanted to go over. To close out this playthrough, I actually want to start a new game. But this time, we'll be playing as Sailor Moon. Where'd all these Yoma come from? It seems the Dark Kingdom has indeed been reborn. We'll just have to defeat them again. So, in addition to unique attacks and different animations, each Sailor Senshi also has unique dialogue, which I actually think is really cool. From what I recall, the Super Famicom version doesn't have starting dialogue at the beginning of stages, so that's honestly another thing I prefer about this version, because I actually like having different dialogue for each character. Even the character that accompanies each Senshi is different. So Luna is the main companion character for Sailor Moon, Mercury, and Jupiter. Venus has Artemis, and Mars has her crows, Phobos and Deimos. So yeah, I really like that attention to detail, and actually having different lines for each character. Even if the highest difficulty is a little bit too daunting, it's still kind of fun to play through with each character, even on the lower difficulties, just to see some of the changes, not only in playstyle, but also in terms of writing. So Sailor Moon obviously has different attacks based on the anime, which is actually pretty cool. I feel like she's in some ways a little bit stronger than Sailor Venus, but kind of a tougher character to use because of having to attack at close range, like this. But overall, it's still very strong. So one downside I don't think I've mentioned yet about the Genesis version compared to the Super Nintendo version is the lack of multiplayer. So, the Super Famicom version supports two-player co-op, while the Genesis version, or Mega Drive version technically, is single-player only, which is kind of a shame. In this particular level, I feel like maybe having two players would be a little bit too crowded though, so I can't exactly be too shocked that this game was relatively designed only for one player. It does feel like, in general, this game does have a lot more crowded areas than what I've seen of the Super Nintendo version, so it does make a lot of sense to limit it to only one player, but it's still kind of a shame. I know a lot of arcade-style beat-em-up games do have multiplayer, and I feel like it would be fun, because of each character having differences, to be able to go through with each character, like 2 different characters and 2 players, and just it would honestly make the game a lot easier in general, to be able to actually get through certain fights a lot faster with more than one person. But yeah, it's still a very fun single-player game. And maybe it being designed for single player helps with like the difficulty balancing compared to the Super Nintendo version, which I feel like is much tougher. Maybe it's because it was meant for more people. You're the one controlling the Yoma. I am Mannequin. In the name of Queen Metalia, I shall punish you. Hey, that's my line. I am Sailor Moon. In the name of the moon, I will punish you. Huh? The department store is where normal folk go to unwind. Sailor Moon. Make short work of this hideous Yoma. Another difference with Sailor Moon's playthrough is her icon in the corner gets heart eyes whenever Tuxedo Mask shows up. Again, a really nice attention to detail that kind of sets some of the characters apart from one another. The Sailor Moon has a unique reaction to seeing Tuxedo Mask, which makes a whole lot of sense. Overall, I feel like this fight is actually a lot easier with Sailor Moon because of her ability to actually combo enemies like so. So yeah, overall, this was a really fun game to play through. Hey, a C rank. That actually isn't as bad as I expected. But with that, I think I am going to call things here. So, thank you for watching, and I hope you'll join me next time for something different.